Hi guys, it's Miss Galati. I wanted to see if we could do our lesson that is for this week on YouTube. There's quite an extensive reading that is available to you, that whole scene one. And I am not planning on reading that whole thing to you because it will take way too much time. If you need any um, help with that reading, please just hit me up on my mind. And what I will do is I will make a separate video of that whole reading. Okay. So again, this reading is extensive because it kind of stems all the way from the beginning all the way to the end of what we've already read of scene one, act one. And I wanted to, just tell you that, I'm not going to read the whole thing out loud on this lesson, even though it is available to you on this lesson. It is available. All right. So on this lesson, we are in 7B, character and conflict. And we're going to go to our Raisin in the Sun. And we're going to go to lesson 7. And on lesson 7, we're going to start with tab 2, discuss who these characters are, these characters. And basically, we want to talk about the main characters here. Okay, so Ruth, who is the wife of Walter. Walter is the son of Mama. Benita is the daughter of Mama. Travis is Ruth and Walter's son. All of these people live in this one household that is 3 rooms basically. It's very small. It's very worn, but it's clean. They have to share a bathroom in the hallway with other families. So it's a very stressful situation in the morning. That's what happens in the beginning. You find out when you enter the younger household, this is what this is about, what it looks like, and what they're struggling with in that morning time. And that the whole thing about what they're waiting on is an insurance check because Mama's husband, Big Walter, had died, and they're getting a $10,000 check because of his death. Okay, so on tab 2, there is only one question. The check has finally arrived, and prior to this moment, what was the common obstacle faced by all of the members of the family? And the common obstacle is that they don't have a lot of money. There was a limited amount of money, which made other issues. Okay, so then you're going to pick letter B and hand that in. At that point, you're going to skip tab 3 and go to tab 4. And we're only doing cards 1 and 2 because that's all there are. But we're going to think about that whole first act of A Raisin in the Sun. Which moments do you remember best? Who was expressing that he or she wanted, what they wanted? How could you tell? Okay, so on this next slide is a table, and we're just going to do this together because it's very involved. Okay, these are all of the main characters: Benita, Ruth, Walter, and Mama. They leave out Travis because Travis is sort of a young child. He's more of a flat character, but you just see him as the child for the most part. But we know that Benita, the sister, is a main character, and it asks you, what do they want in this act? And if you use quotes, write what motivation you think that each shows. If you refer back to part of the text you read earlier, briefly describe what was happening. Okay, so we're going to do this together. And you can stop and start this so that you can see what's on here and just put it in so that you can refer to it in later on when we think about one character, because you're going to zone in on one character later. So with Benita, she wants to be a doctor. Okay, and that's act 1, scene 1. She wants Walter to stop making plans for Mama's money because she says it's hers, not ours. Okay, that's act 1, scene 1. She wants Walter to know she thinks he doesn't support her dream, and it took him 3 years, but he finally got it said because he says to her, why can't you just be a nurse or get married or something like the rest of the women? That's act 1, scene 1. The part where Benita says she wants to express herself when she's talking to Ruth and Mama about her guitar and horseback riding lessons tell you that she She wants to become a doctor. She wants something better for herself. She wants mama to do what she wants to do with the money, but she also wants to get in touch with who she is, Benita is, and express who she truly is. So all of those things in this block right here can be something that you type in, okay? And we're going to go to Ruth. Ruth is the wife of Walter, and when we discuss her wants, we discussed the part where Ruth tells both Walter and Travis to stop asking about the money. She wants it not to be such a big deal to them. She wants her mother-in-law to do what she wants with that money because it's hers. Ruth is also pregnant, and she doesn't want to be because they don't have the money or the space for a new family member. And when Walter is told by mama that she's pregnant and that Ruth went to see a lady about an abortion, Walter says she wouldn't do that. And Ruth says, yeah, I would, because I put a $5 down payment on it. So there's all of that with Ruth. And you can stop and start this so that you can see that part. With Walter and mama, these are a little bit longer, so I will toggle and you'll just have to play with the video so that you can see all of the information. With Walter, he wants Travis to have spending money and to see his father as a man who can give it to him. He says, that's my boy. He wants to feel significant, like his opinions and dreams matter. He yells, will somebody please listen to me? He wants his life to mean something. He tells his mother that all he sees is the blank space right now. And he doesn't want to be a chauffeur because he is a chauffeur, and he says that's not any kind of job. And he wants money because he thinks it will give him freedom and power. And he tells his mother because money is life. Okay, so those are the ones that you would do. This is the first part, and then this is the second part. So you can, stop and start that to see it. Mama is the last one. When mama first enters, she's checking on everyone, what they ate. She wants to take care of everyone. She is the caretaker of the family. She wants to take care of the family. She asks Benita if she needs a sweater. She asks if Travis what he ate. She makes his bed up better. She's concerned about the way that Ruth looks and that she thinks that she's working too hard. So she wants to take care of everybody. The second thing that it says is she's determined for Benita to become a doctor. So she says some of that money's got to be set aside for Benita's schooling, and that's just the way that it goes. She's already decided that. She wants it to happen. She also mentions that she wants a home with a little garden so that the family can be a little more comfortable because, they're in such a tight space. So you can toggle between this and that information as well, okay? And then we're going to go to the next activity, which is tab 5, and we're going to do cards 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so let me just tell you that you need to now, from all of what we just expressed on that chart, pick one of those characters to really zone in on and to analyze, because that's what you're going to be doing in this next part. So you pick Mama, Ruth, Benita, or Walter, and then click next. On card 2, these 2 questions are going to be about that character that you picked. So answer the 2 questions to help you brainstorm ideas about this character. So number 1 says write down the first 2 things that come into your mind about this character as if you're describing him to or her to a friend. If you were describing Walter, he's quick, he's urgent, he wants to feel important, okay? You would describe him as that. And what does he most want? He wants to be able to have enough money and supply for his family, okay? So that would be maybe Walter. So that would be between numbers 1 and 2. If you pick Benita, you would be, talking about that she's fairly attractive, that she is educated, that and that what she wants most is to become a doctor. So you're gonna write those answers as to what character you pick. Okay, And then you're gonna press on card 3. And this card is where it gets a little harder for you. Now, what you're going to do really, and this is where you can go back to activity 4, where we filled that other area in, that chart in, with whatever character that you picked, you're going to put right up here with this drop down menu, Beneatha, Mama, Ruth, or Walter. So as an example, I picked Beneatha, okay? And her want is to become a doctor. There's not enough money to pay for school. And she tells Walter that Mama will decide what is to happen to that money because she knows that Mama is planning on giving her some, okay? So it's one of those things where you're gonna put the character's want, what is the conflict that's happening that keeps them, or the obstacle that keeps them from getting what they want, and what is their action to try and get to what they want, even though there's an obstacle. So there are 3 rows, and you should think of at least 2, if not 3 wants, because that's all in that chart. See, so if you go back to this chart on tab 4, and you look at the chart, and all that was typed into it, you have all those wants, and you have some of the actions. So you have to just split them up when you get to this part. Where you're going to put the want, you're going to put the obstacle, and then you're going to put the action. So you're kind of splitting it up from the chart beforehand and putting it down on here for the character that you pick only. Got it? Okay. So now this is where card 4 is where you can use the reading if you need to. And this is the reading from beginning to the end of where we left off. And there are like 3 pages worth, okay? I think it's like, here's scene 2. And then here's, yeah, scene 1 and scene 2. Okay? And we can get to the end by clicking next at the bottom. So this thing is just going over and over and over again. But like it's act 1 and then it's act 2, scene 1 and 2 as well. And it has a lot of reading. And like I said, and scene 3, sorry. I didn't want to go through all of this because it would just take way too much time to get through. So if you need me to actually read this to you, it'll probably be like an hour's worth at least of reading for the acts, and I can split them into those acts, but I just wanted to make sure that you knew that this was here for you to refer to if you need to. And if you have an issue with reading that or finding something in there, then I will read it to you by all means. Okay, so that was tab 5. We're finished with tab 5 and tab 6. And on tab 6, sorry. Okay, you're going to again go back to, and this is just a different way of putting this, okay? You're going to go back to choosing your character that you chose before, okay? And then in this, you're going to say this character is a person describing that person. Like from the beginning when they ask you on the brainstorming number 1, what's that person like? Describe a person to another person that hasn't ever read that. That's how you would describe that person in number 1 down here, okay? And what they want, okay? What is stopping them from what they want? Then this character tries to overcome these obstacles by taking these actions, okay? And then 4 says, read your sentences starting with the character name, then proceed to the next activity to draw your conclusion. So what you've done here is in tab 5, where you have this table. Sorry, I'm going to go to card 3. Where you have this table and you filled all of these in with the wants, obstacles, and actions. On tab 6, they're just asking you to kind of put it in a different way, okay? So you're going to choose your character again. You're going to describe your character, what they want, and what their obstacle is, okay? And then you're going to hand that in. Does that make sense? I hope so. And then you're going to go to and this end, sorry. And we're going to go to the next activity, which is the exit ticket. Now, with this exit ticket, okay, this scene illustrates how the things that Mama wants may be in conflict with what Walter wants. So what that scene was when Walter is trying, you know, he comes in, he finds out that the check comes, and he's trying to convince Mama to listen to him and to give him the money for the liquor store. So this first one says Mama wants the family to be respectful and godly, but Walter wants to own a liquor store, and she sees that as ungodly. Mama wants Walter to listen to his wife, but Walter wants people to listen to him. And Mama wants her family to appreciate what they have, but Walter wants to be rich and successful. Okay, so those are the 3 things that you're going to do there. That one, okay, and then we're going to do the solo. Okay, so we're going to read it, highlight the passage as directed, respond to the short answer prompt, and answer the questions. So on card 2, okay, we're going to read the passage, which is not that long. This is where Benita's other friend, George, is here to pick her up for a date. He wants to take her on a date. This is a different friend than Asagai. He is a rich kind of African American. His dad, I believe, owns a business that he is taking part in. Okay, so I'm going to read this scene so that you know how to answer the questions for the rest of this. All right, time later the same day. At Rise, Ruth is ironing again. She has the radio going. Presently, beneath his bedroom door opens and Ruth's mouth falls, and she puts down the iron in fascination. Sorry. What have we got on tonight, Ruth says. Benita emerging grandly from the doorway so that we can see her thoroughly robed in the costume Asagayi brought. You are looking at what a well-dressed Nigerian woman wears. She parades for Ruth, her hair completely hidden by the headdress. She is coquettishly fanning herself with an ornate oriental fan, mistakenly more like butterfly than any Nigerian that ever was. Isn't it beautiful? She promenades to the radio and with an arrogant flourish turns off the good loud blues that is playing. Enough of the assimilation junk. Ruth follows her with her eyes as she goes to the phonograph, which is a record player, and puts on a record and turns and waits ceremoniously for the music to come on. Then with a shout, Okomoko say! Ruth jumps. The music comes up, a lively Nigerian melody. Benita listens, enraptured, her eyes far away, back to the past. She begins to dance, and Ruth is dumbfounded. What kind of dance is that? Ruth says. A folk dance. Ruth, what kind of folks do that, honey? It's from Nigeria. It's a dance of welcome. Who are you welcoming? The men back to the village. Where they been? How should I know? Out hunting or something. Anyway, they're coming back now. Well, I guess that's good. Benita with the record. Alunde, 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 alanya, japu ajipua, anguso, ayaye, ayaye, alunde. Walter comes in during this performance. He has obviously been drinking. He leans against the door heavily and watches his sister at first with distaste. Then his eyes look off back to the past as he lifts back both his fists to the roof, screaming. Walter, yeah! And Ethiopia stretched forth her hands again. Ruth dryly looking at him. Yes, and Africa sure is claiming her own tonight. She gives them both up and down, starts ironing again. Walter, all in a drunken dramatic shout. Shut up! I'm digging them drums. Them drums move me. He makes his weaving way to his wife's face and leans in close to her. In my heart of hearts, he thumps his chest. I am a warrior. I am much warrior. Ruth, without even looking up, in your heart of hearts, you are most drunkard. Walter coming away from her and starting to wander around the room, shouting, Me and Jomo! Intently in his sister's face, she has stopped dancing to watch him in his unknown mood. That's my man Kenyatta! Shouting and thumping his chest. Flaming spear, hot damn! He is suddenly in possession of an imaginary spear and actively spearing enemies all over the room. Okomogosai! Beneatha, to encourage Walter thoroughly, caught up with this side of him. Okomakasai, flaming spear. The lion is waking, Walter says. Omi woe. He pulls his shirt open and leaps up on the table and gestures for his spear. Omi woe, Bonita says. Walter on the table, very far gone, his eyes pure glass sheets. He sees what we cannot, that he is a leader of his people, a great chief, a descendant of Chaka, and that the hour to march has come. Listen, my black brothers, Walter says. O Komagai, I say, Benita says. Do you hear the waters rushing against the shores of the coastlands? O Komogai, I say. Do you hear the screeching of the cocks in yonder hills beyond where the chiefs meet in council for the coming of the mighty war? O Komogo, I say. And how now the lighting shifts subtly to suggest the world of Walter's imagination, and the mood shifts from pure comedy. It's the inner Walter speaking. The South Side chauffeur has assumed an unexpected majesty. Do you hear the beating of the wings of the birds flying low over the mountains and the low places of our land? Benita says, O como goes I say. Do you hear the singing of the women, singing the war songs of our fathers to the babies in the great houses, singing the sweet war songs? And the doorbell rings. Oh, do hear my black brothers! Beneath a completely gone. We hear you, flaming spear! Bruce shuts off the phonograph and opens the door. George Murchison enters. Walter, telling us to prepare for the greatness of the time. Light blacks to normal. He turns and sees George. Black brother! He extends his hand for the fraternal clasp. Black brother, hell, George says. Ruth, having had enough and embarrassed for the family. Beneatha, you got company. What's the matter with you? Walter Lee Younger, get down off that table and stop acting like a fool. Walter comes down off the table suddenly and makes a quick exit to the bathroom. Ruth, he's had a little to drink. I don't know what her excuse is. George to Beneatha, look, honey, we're gonna go to the theater. We're not gonna be in it. So go change, huh? Beneatha looks at him and slowly, ceremoniously lifts her hands and pulls off the headdress. Her hair is close cropped and unstraightened. George freezes mid-sentence, and Ruth's eyes all but fan out of her head. What in the name of, Ruth, touching beneath her hair. Girl, you done lost your natural mind. Look at your head. What have you gone and done to your head, George says. I mean your hair. Nothing, except cut it off. Well, now that's the truth, Ruth says. It's what ain't been done to it. You expect this boy to go out with you with your head all nappy like that? Beneatha looking at George. That's up to George, if he's ashamed of his heritage. Oh, don't be so proud of yourself, Benny, just because you look eccentric. Beneatha. How can something that's natural be eccentric? That's what being eccentric means, being natural. Get dressed. I don't like that, George. Why must you and your brothers make an argument out of everything people say, Ruth said. Because I have assimilationist Negroes. I hate assimilationist Negroes. Will somebody please tell me what whoever means? Oh, George says, it's just the college girl's way of calling people Uncle Toms. But that isn't what it means at all. Well, what does it mean? Ruth says, Beneatha cutting George off and staring at him as he replies to Ruth. It means someone who is willing to give up his own culture and submerge himself completely in the dominant, and in this case, oppressive culture. George. Oh, dear, dear, dear. Here we go. A lecture on the African past, on our great West African heritage, and 1 second, we'll hear all about the great Ashanti empires, the great Songhai civilizations, and the great sculptures of Benin, and then some poetry in the Bantu. And the whole monologue will end with the world heritage. Let's face it, baby, your heritage is nothing but a bunch of raggedy ass spirituals and some grass huts. Benita. Grass huts? Ruth crosses to her and forcibly pushes her toward the bedroom. See there, you're standing there in your splendid ignorance, talking about people who were the first to smelt iron on the face of the earth. Ruth is pushing her through the door. The Ashanti were performing surgical operations when the English, Ruth pulls the door to with Benita on the other side and smiles graciously at George. Benita opens the door and shouts the end of the sentence defiantly. We're still tattooing themselves with blue dragons. She goes back inside. Have a seat, George, they both said. Ruth folds her hands rather primly on her lap, determined to demonstrate the civilization of the family. Warm, ain't it? I mean, for September, just like they always say about Chicago weather, it's too hot or too cold for you. Just wait a minute and it'll change. She smiles happily at this cliche of cliches. Everybody says it's got to do with them bombs and things they keep setting off. Would you like a nice cold beer? George says, no, thank you. I don't care for beer. He looks at his watch. I hope she hurries up. What time is the show? Ruth asks. It's an 8:30 curtain. That's just Chicago, though. In New York, standard curtain time is 8:40. He's rather proud of this knowledge. Ruth properly appreciating it. You get to New York a lot? Ruth, or George, a few times a year. Oh, that's nice. I've never been to New York. Walter enters. We feel he has relieved himself, but the edge of unreality is still with him. New York ain't got nothing Chicago ain't. Just a bunch of hustling people all squeezed up together being Eastern. He turns his face into a screw-up displeasure. Oh, you've been? George asked. Plenty of times. Ruth, shocked at the lie. Walter Lee younger. Walter staring her down. Plenty. What we got to drink in this house? Why don't you offer this man some refreshment? To George. They don't know how to entertain people in this house, man. George, thank you. I don't really care for anything. Walter, feeling his head sobriety coming. Where's Mama? Ruth, she ain't come back yet. Walter, looking Murchison over from head to toe, scrutinizing his carefully casual tweed sports jacket over cashmere V-neck sweater, over soft eyelet shirt and tie, and soft slacks finished off with white buckskin shoes. Why, all you college boys wear them faggoty-looking white shoes. Walter Lee, Ruth said. George Murchison ignores the remark. Walter to Ruth. Well, they look crazy as hell, white shoes, cold as it is. You have to excuse him, Ruth said. No, we don't. Excuse me for what? What are you always excusing me for? I'll excuse myself when I needs to be excused. They look as funny as them black knee socks Benita wears out here all the time. It's the college style, Ruth said, Walter. Ruth said. Style, hell, she looks like she got burnt legs or something. Oh, Walter. Walter, irritable. Oh, Walter. Oh, Walter. How's your old man making out to Murchison? I understand you all going to buy that big hotel on the drive. He finds a beer in the refrigerator, wanders over to Murchison, sips it in and wiping his lips with the back of his hand, straddling a chair backwards to talk to the other man. Shrewd move. Your old man's all right, man. Tapping his head and half winking for emphasis. I mean, he knows how to operate. I mean, he thinks big, you know what I mean? For a home, you know? But I think, or for a homie, you know? But I think he's kind of running out of ideas now. I'd like to talk to him. Listen, man, I got some plans that could turn this city upside down. I mean, think like he does. Big, invest, big, gamble, big. He'll lose big if you have to. You know what I mean? It's hard to find a man on this whole South Side who understands my kind of thinking. You dig? He scrutinizes Murchison again, drinks his beer, squints his eyes, and leans in close. Me and you ought to sit down and talk sometimes, man. Man, I got me some ideas. George, with boredom. Yeah, sometime we'll have to do that, Walter. Walter, understanding indifference, is offended. Yeah? Well, when you get the time, man, I know you're a busy little boy. Walter, please, Ruth said. Walter, bitterly hurt. I know I ain't nothing in this world as busy as you colored college boys with your fraternity pins and white shoes. Ruth covering her face. Oh, Walter Lee. Walter says, I see you all the time with the books tucked under your arms, going to your classes. And for what? What the hell are you learning over there? Filling up your heads, counting off on his fingers, with the sociology and the psychology. But they teaching you how to be a man, how to take over and run the world. They teaching you how to run a rubber plantation or a steel mill? Nah, just talk proper and read books and wear them faggoty looking white shoes. George, looking at him with distance, a little above it all. You're all whacked up with bitterness, man. Walter, intently, almost quietly between the teeth glaring at the boy. You? Ain't you bitter, man? Ain't you just about had it yet? Don't you see no stars gleaming that you can't reach out and grab? You happy? You contented son of a bitch, you happy? You got it made bitter? Man, I'm a volcano. Bitter? Here I am, a giant surrounded by ants. Ants who can't even understand what it is the giant's talking about. Ruth, passionately. Oh, Walter, ain't you with nobody? Walter, violently. No, 'cause ain't nobody with me. Not even with my own mother. Walter, that's a terrible thing to say, Ruth said. Benita enters, dressed for the evening in a cocktail dress and earrings, hair natural. Well, hey, George says, crosses to Benita. You look great. Walter, seeing his sister's hair. What's the matter with your head? Benita, tired of the jokes. I cut it off, brother. Walter, coming close to inspect it. Well, I'll be damned. So that's what they mean by the African bush. Benita. Ha. Let's go, George. George looking at her. You know something? I like it. It's sharp. I mean, it really is. Helps her into her wrap. Yes, Ruth says. I think so too. She goes to the mirror and starts to clutch her hair. Walter says, oh no, you leave yours alone, baby. You might turn out to have a pin-shaped head or something. Benita says, see you all later. Ruth says, have a nice time. George says, thanks. Good night. Half out the door, he reopens. Good night, Prometheus, to Walter. Okay. So now we're going to go to card 3. All right, so write what you think about your character based on how he or she acted in response to an obstacle. Feel free to use ideas from today's class from the reading, okay? But develop them more fully with details from the text. So what you want to do is write down, remember who your character was that you already picked and that you've already talked about in the same way, but in several different formats, okay? Write what you think about that character based on how they acted in response to the obstacle. So for instance, if you were talking about Walter, you would definitely say something about how angry and bitter he is. His reaction to being told no or being dismissed, he gets angrier and angrier and more frustrated. So you would talk about that a little bit and kind of go back to what we read today, which would be perfect, about how bitter he is, what he says about being bitter, that kind of thing. So that would be your number 1. Then you're going to go to card 4. Now we're going to compare the motivations of Walter and Benita. So those 2 characters, both of them want better for their lives. They just see about going about it differently, okay? So they want the freedom to do what they want. Both of them do. That's letter A. They want money to achieve the goals. That would only be Walter. Whereas letter C, the person that wants to be a doctor is Benita. Letter D, they want to go into business is Walter. Letter E, they want to feel connected to his or her racial heritage is Benita. They want to impress or fit in with people who have more money. That would be Walter. They want to be seen as a scholar would be Benita. They want to be allowed to express their individual opinions. And that would be both. So letter A and H are both. Those are the only 2 that would be both, okay? And then we're going to go to card 5. And on card 5, Walter joins in with Benita's dance, okay? So in this scene that I just read to you, which best describes how he seems to be feeling as he dances? He actually views himself and gets deeper and deeper because of his drunkenness into thinking and imagining that he is the leader of a tribe and that, you know, he wants what he's saying, and he actually sees all of that with the spear in his hand. So it would be letter C. It makes him feel part of something important. Okay. And then we're going to go to card 6. We're almost done now. During the dance, Walter and Benita both seem to understand each other finally. They're on the same plane. But like I said, they both want more out of life. So there is a common ground there. It's just the way that they see about going about it that's different. Okay, so that would be letter B for card 6. And then on card 7, what does George think of Benita's costume? Okay, so you know that, you know, he's not really a fan. So there are 2 things that he doesn't think. Okay, it's kind of crazy. Okay, and it's not appropriate. That would be the 2 letters, A and C, that would go there. You're going to save and continue and go to card 8, which is the last one. What does Walter lie about when talking to George? Okay, well, he comes in and George talks about, you know, what it's like in New York, and Walter claims that he's been to New York 20 and it's not that big of a deal. So basically he lies about having been to New York. And then at that point, you're going to update here and you are done. We are not doing the challenge activity. We're not doing the writing challenge. So that is the lesson for this week. Okay, so like I said, and I mentioned before, if you need me to put up the actual reading for that whole Act 1 and 2, I can do that probably in 2 different videos. And you just let me know, hit me up on my reminder, Schoology, and just, you know, request that I do that. I don't want to waste your time if you've already been able to gather that information from what we've already done and the other videos. But I can, if you would like, put it on 1 or 2 videos so that you can go back to it and listen to it. Also, the one other thing that I want to remind you is that the movie is on YouTube. All you have to do is search it on YouTube. It is in public domain. It's a couple of hours long, but you can, you know, watch it from beginning to end. And it loosely follows the, well, more tightly actually follows the script. There are some things that are a little tiny bit different, but for the most part, it's the same. So I hope that this finds you well. I hope that, you know, everything is going well. If you have any concerns or questions, I'm always here. Hit me up on Remind or Schoology or email me. And you can also give me a call. I believe that I have left my number with most of you. However, if you do need to give me a call, I am at 302-503 7956. Have a great day, guys.